meeting of the West Memphis Utility Commission to order. The first item on the agenda is approve the minutes of the October 14th meeting. Everybody should have received them in their packets.
Make a motion with
Have a motion by Mr. Marshall to accept. Second by Mr. Burns. Are there any additions or deletions? All in favor to approve? All opposed? Minutes are approved. Next item is the October safety report.
Good morning.
Morning. Okay.
So we are 14 days since the last recordable. That means we had a recordable in October. Kind of messed with our incident rate a little bit, but I do want to bring to everybody's attention that 2019 we were 742 days of record with days without lost time injury. We're 749 right now in county, so we're doing well on that. This injury we had, so our incident rate jumped up. We've got 3 injuries year to date for October. Incident rate jumped up to a 5, and today it would be a 4.8 with the additional 5,520 hours work. That recordable was our second dog bite of the year. And it's going in reading meters, entering yards. And when we got the second one, I said, Todd, we're looking at AMI. If we can get an AMI, that's going to eliminate that exposure in a lot of ways, not just for the dog bite, but pulling meters and having that arc flash exposure with cutting off, cutting back on, moving meters in and out. So, safety standpoint, the AMI is going to make a big difference with eliminating some things. Then, our October training was over line safety belts, and it covered the dynamics of vehicle crash. Actually 3 collisions. You've got the first collision, that's a car's collision, and that's all the car absorbing some energy. But then the second collision is a human collision, and an unbelted human being in a car is still moving at the same speed. So they're going to hit some part of the vehicle, inside the vehicle, either the steering wheel, windshield, something. And then you have the internal collision inside that body. Your internal organs are still moving. And it kind of all boils down to the difference between belted and unbelted. Sometimes there's a difference between life and death. So, just a reminder that seatbelt can save your life. I think that's all I've got for the slide. I want to add a couple of things. Our electrical apprentices, they attended some of their yearly training in October. Some hands-on training. They did rubber gloving and URD terminating and splicing, and then studied over transformer banks and some hot stick work. They went to Paragould. Paragould's a training site now, that's a couple of years now. That's where they get their hands-on training at. All right, that brings me to the safety manual. I don't have a slide, no, it's gone. Handed out the safety manual, a proposed draft of the safety manual last month, and I asked everybody to kind of look over it and give me some feedback. I know Dana had already taught me right at the end of the last meeting, and I did make a change to it, the wording. If you've got it handy, it's actually over the chainsaw chaps on page 12. And it now reads, an exception to wearing chaps would be working from inside an aerial devices bucket that's protecting the worker from contact. And that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for, feedback from you all. So we're not looking to ask for approval or anything right now, it'll probably be next month. We're gonna ask y'all to approve that as a safety manual for policy for the Westminster Utility employees. And we'll start that on January 1. So any other comments or correction requests or anything, you can catch me after this meeting or here at the office. My number is 702-5102. That's direct. As far as the safety manual, is there anybody got any questions or anything that's looked over? City Attorney?
I'm still working on it.
Okay, okay, well, that's why we're not trying to push it, because we don't give everybody an opportunity to look it over. I think that's all I've got. I got a lot of stuff written down here, but it's not all about this meeting, so I'm getting confused. I think that's it. That's all I've got. Anybody got any questions?
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is personnel update.
All righty. We had no new hires. Or hold on, we did have a new hire. It was actually a rehire, I'm sorry. And he came back after about a year and a half off. And then we had one resignation from the office that was voluntary for another job within the area. That's all. So our total open positions still remain the same. And I know supervisors and others continue to look for staffing at this time. Any questions? All right. That's all I got on the
Some road,
personnel.
every other business.
Yeah, we're looking for people.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is a customer complaint. Jonathan Goodfellow at 504 Cole.
He is not here. I know Danielle had let him know of the date and time. I don't know. Y'all had a write-up in the packet of what had occurred. As you can see, I mean, he's saying, literally, he's accusing us of trying to hide something that we had done wrong, and we did not do anything wrong. So, I mean, if you want to take action on it, or if you just want to wait and see if he wants to reschedule for next month, leave that up to y'all. I'm good either way.
Todd, I had one question on this one. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
With him not being here. Okay, with the building being vacant 10 years, what kind of inspection is he required to get before, you know, everything is connected up and he's running?
He's required to get an electrical inspection by the city before services are connected back, to bring it back up to code, to make sure the facility is up to code. Now, it is not connected, they're not testing to see if, or making sure it's meeting code as far as with power on. The power could be off, they're just making sure that the electrical equipment and everything within the house meets code requirements. And I'm not gonna get too far to that because I am not a code person. So all I know is after a year's been vacant, you're required to get it inspected by the city and make sure it meets code.
And we don't turn it on until they,
Until it passes code. I do know that. That's correct.
So since we're discussing this, I have a question too, maybe. Just for everybody's general information, when you connect the beads, as it's called, use unit voltage in Mike's letter, you connect that above the meter, below the meter, where is that?
I'm gonna let him, where do they connect the the equipment used to put the load on, where do they actually connect it at?
Talking about with the machine we use?
Yeah, the
We
beast.
shove it in the meter base itself,
So.
and we load it just like the house, air conditioning,
Yeah.
stoves and everything.
So you're checking everything up to the meter base, but from the meter base to the receptacle or to the air conditioner is not tested because that's not the city's
That's right.
responsibility.
Right. We don't do that. He has to get that
So
done
that's-
himself.
That was my point, was it could be a fault in the house
Right,
as opposed to the utility supply,
right.
Correct.
which, based on your testing, that's the case. Thank you.
So he's actually, we got an invoice and another invoice, so is he actually saying that a surge damaged it, because, and then something come back, is that what he actually?
And again, he feels that, here, going through the whole scenario, we went out there, connected, and he had an issue with his air conditioning system, okay? He felt there was something wrong with us. We went out there, did an inspection, didn't find anything wrong, but because where the property is located, it's a house that is out off by itself. There was a lot of tree growth on the service going from the main system to the house. Mike saw that. He also noticed that one of the service poles that is mid-span was actually rotten, okay? Now, was still upright, but it was rotten and needed to be replaced. It was leaning so bad. So he went ahead and took the initiative to go ahead and clean all that up and get it so where he doesn't have an issue in the future and replace that service pole. He saw that happen after the fact and said, oh, y'all must have did something and fixed my problem. So see, y'all, that's what he was accusing us of, is that we actually went out there and we did have a problem and went out there after the fact and fixed it, and we did not.
Yeah, but my question is he want to reimburse?
Yes.
So this damage to compressor, and then it looked like the second invoice come back and said he was only charged for warranty. So that means that they did damage to compressor and they replaced it again?
And I didn't look into because I was like, once I talked to Mike and I knew what actions he took, I didn't go into details of the invoice. I was like, look, I'm not going to agree.
And I was
There's
saying,
nothing we
the
had done.
invoice looked like it was a repeat incident.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. In other words, looked like he fixed it and then it come back again. That's what I'm saying. That's what it looks like.
Mr. Daniel had more conversations with him than I did. My administrative assistant helped me greatly on this one.
But he was aware of this meeting.
Yes, he was aware.
You make,
There's something, you notice on the invoices, the one that was compressor warranty and everything was August 25th. Then the other one, where they completely replaced it, was September 9th. So, had problems prior to these, is what I saw.
And again, I don't want to speak on what I think, I know what we did and what we tested and we didn't find any issues.
If it was vacant for 10 years, I'm assuming that he installed it in the conditioner.
Again,
It could have been installed incorrectly, or it could have left the wire loose, or it could have been any one of them.
yeah, I don't think exactly, I don't know. I can't speak on that.
Will I have a motion to deny?
In his absence? Do you do it in his absence?
I don't think so, he knew we were supposed to have a meeting.
Then you still gonna have to deal with it. You still gonna have to call him and then somebody has to call him.
Well, I'll just say that, I mean, I have no problem sending him a letter saying that we're denying any liability. I have to do this often. When we have governmental immunity, even if there was any negligence involved, I don't think there is, based upon what I'm hearing. So, I mean, I don't have an issue with it if you want to deal with it today, or if you want to wait and give him an opportunity to come. It doesn't matter to me. I think it should be denied whether he's here or not. So.
My only reservation here is he's not here, but I think it should be denied.
Another thing
If he's not going to have the courtesy to show up when it's scheduled, then
But we don't know what could have happened, and if we can wait till another meeting, it's not a matter of life and death, but we just gotta do it today.
Because there may be questions that we need to ask him, and that he could explain that we can't. We just,
And that's fine, either way.
And that's fine with me too. I don't have a problem with it, but I don't think there's gonna be anything he's gonna be able to tell me that's gonna make me think that we're liable.
I agree, so.
But most all the situations like this end up with the car community anyway, so
Right.
we just go ahead and send him the notice, and if he wants to appear at the next meeting.
Either way is okay with me.
Yeah, I agree. I'm good. Either way, y'all want to take
Do
action.
I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Burns, second by Mrs. Brown. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes to deny claim. Next item is approval to assist in helping purchase a drone.
All right. I've got some others with me. Come on, up forward. Mr. Dwayne Rose, who is our emergency management director, and Mr. Chief Pope, our new chief of police. And Mr. Darrell Hayes, is he over your drone
Yes, sir.
team?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just to kind of give y'all an update of what has happened in the policing, just if you want to elaborate more on this, feel free. The police department has started a drone response team. In other words, they have a special group of folks that are going to get trained to operate and maintain the drones within the city. They've actually, as a police department, have already purchased a few of those on the smaller end that have short range, and also some that are very small that can go into some very confined areas. The drone that they demonstrated, and this is where I'm going to need some assistance, is a much larger, or we're looking at purchasing, is a much larger drone. I think I read some specs on it. It has a distance of 9 miles from the base. Is that right?
Yes, 10 miles.
10 miles. It's a much larger, and what we're looking at is purchasing this for the city, okay? Mr. Rose has helped obtain some funds from BNSF to help pay for it. I've reached out to our power supply provider, NextEra, and they've also stepped up and is willing to help pay for some of this. And we're still short some funds, and because this is an item that I think could be used citywide, and when citywide, how can we use it? One of the items is this actual drone has the capability to do infrared. So we would be able to actually fly our power lines and see where we have hot spots on them and see where we have issues. You can actually program this thing and stand here and hit a button and it'll go off and just fly the route that you put in it. I know other departments can use it in emergency responses also. The other things we're looking at is when we have potential storm damages or other issues, they could come in and this is the key, is they would then come in and assist us with this situation, because they'll have the personnel that are trained to do this instead of us doing one every, having a person, yeah, I got trained, but that was 3 years ago, and here I am fixing to fly this $30,000 drone. So, they could help us and fly and see where we have potential down power lines, okay?
Is this the manufacturer?
Say that again.
The team that would come in?
No, they're gonna be trained.
They're gonna be trained, they're gonna have a
Okay,
team.
you're talking about their
Yeah,
team.
the police
Okay.
department's actually gonna have the team that's going to actually be able to be trained. Yeah, at first it was, he proposed, well, we can go get you trained. I said, I don't want to know how to fly that drone. I'm good. So,
These operators are actually licensed by the FAA. They are classified as pilots and unmanned aerial system pilot.
So how much are we talking about?
Okay, it would be not to exceed $20,000. Okay.
I think one of the major benefits that we're going to find from this device is the asset accountability. In the event there is an emergency declaration, you know, we're trying to assess all of our assets to see what damage we have. And it's very difficult to do that on the ground. You know, right now that's all we have is just boots on the ground going around looking at our assets. Being able to put this device in the air and to get a good overall view of what our city looks like after a disaster is going to be, we really can't put a price tag on it, because whenever a state declaration is made or a federal declaration, you all know that we're in the business of trying to recoup all of our funding, and to be able to dissect that information and put a very fair dollar amount on what we've lost is going to be instrumental with this device.
Todd, I'm sorry.
Good.
When you say use it for utilities to identify a hotspot, correct me if I'm wrong, but a hotspot could be one of a number of things like increased load or faulty equipment or loose connections or something like that. Could be a danger.
A hotspot is always it's a condition where load has increased. Now, and what's currently happening at a hotspot is the current that is supposed to stay on the wire is typically going to ground. What is causing that is typically, as you were then describing, where it's faulty equipment, or maybe the wires just barely came off. Sometimes you have an instance where the wires come off the insulator and are sitting down and going to ground. And what you're actually seeing is a current flowing from the wire to ground. And
Causes everything to heat up.
it causes everything to heat up, yes. That's exactly. Or if you have a cracked insulator, it creates a hot spot right there at that point.
I just want to add that also, we give you all real-time data. It calculates, I'm not a utility guy, but I heard Todd talking about some stuff about lining and measurements, and it do also graphing charts. And also, while you sit at your desk, you have just say, y'all doing the new sewage. You can put the codes in and pull up the drone and look at the sewage, how they put the sewage in. You can see that on the screen, the progress that's being made for the sewage. Are the people working? Are they doing what they're supposed to do? Things of that nature. It's a good opportunity for upper management, and also it gives you, I know y'all just talked about safety issues. We got attorneys in here. Did I employees do something wrong? How did they get injured? When you have a serious type of job or something that's going on, they're dealing with hot spots, gas, water issues. You can see all that stuff and it can be live time on the drone footage that you often see firsthand and get that firsthand data.
We actually did some preliminary drone tree trimming inspections. It didn't work out the way we hoped. Maybe with this, we can go and improve that a little bit more and do it in-house. We had a third party come in and we were not pleased with the results but that is something else that others are using it for, as you know, they're flying their right-of-ways and making sure what kind of tree growth do I have? Do I need to trim in this area or not trim in this area? And this drone has the capability, if I'm not mistaken, it is literally, you know this location at all times, it's GPS located, so you know right where that thing is. So if I pull up to a spot and hold it, there's a lot of tree coverage here, this is a spot, you know it because it has a GPS location.
Yeah, map it out. Also, you can print that data out
Okay.
and have that for, make the decisions you need to make about the tree trimming or whatever that you want to do.
So is the city going to keep it up and running a lot, or you're just going to use it at specific times, or?
We're gonna use it. It's gonna be, I guess, it's a multi-purpose for whenever it's needed for police, emergency management, utilities. If y'all have a big project that y'all want to do, you got telephone poles that have been knocked down, hit by a car, so you got something to string on the highway, call us, and we'll put it up. The one tree is what's costing. One tree is $3,000. That's the biggest drone that they have for police officers and utility companies, and we'll use that. Something on a smaller magnitude, we'll use one of the smaller drones. But it would be multi-purpose for the city use, for everybody to use, you know, when you call us if you need it.
It will be utilized all the time because FAA regulations require you to have so many, log so many hours of training on the device monthly. So there is even if it's not being operated out and on an incident, there are operation factors that have to be carried on routinely.
And also, I've been dealing with Mr. Stevenson here, getting all the paperwork together, so he knows the importance of the training that I need.
One question I have is, do we know, is this like a state bid type drone, or is it, have we
Because
where we have to bid this out?
I think it's actually through,
It's, well, the price range on it, because there's a couple of different moving parts to it, we can purchase them separately where they're under
That's what I was hoping.
that $20,000 threshold.
yes, yes.
That's right, yes, sir.
Yeah, that's
So
already-
then are you splitting the invoice?
Well, no, ma'am, we're not,
versus
because
certain bids?
there's a few moving parts to it, and Sergeant Hayes can elaborate more if I get off kilter, but the drone itself is a price, and then you have these different payloads that go with it. The ZenMoves H2Z is a camera system that goes on it. This is a very sophisticated model, and it's able to hold multiple payloads operated by multiple people. That way, one operator could be operating the drone itself, and another operator could be operating the camera system. Search and rescue incident, or the police is looking for a suspect, you can have one operator who's actually operating the drone itself, and another operator can be operating the camera system. So there's multi-factions to it, and all those devices are sold separately. So our goal was to purchase the drone on one invoice and some of the payloads on another invoice, and that's going to kind of offset some of that bid factor.
And that's not all like a component part to make the whole thing work, right? It's not. What's one of
I'm
those?
questioning whether you're circumventing
Well, I'm just asking if whether these are separate.
They are
pieces,
separate,
or-
yeah, because you don't have to have these pieces,
Okay.
they don't go with they're add-ons, if you will, to make the
Well,
device.
without the camera, the drone does you no good, right?
It does have a camera
Camera
system,
comes with it.
it does have a camera system on the drone. These additional payloads are the infrared device, the
Rangefinder.
rangefinder, things like that, that's right.
Ward actually was, I didn't go to I had another meeting I had to attend today. They did the demonstration. Ward actually attended and was telling me about it. Go ahead, Ward.
All right, now, I was with the chief on that demonstration, and very impressive, and like we were saying, the basic drone's there, but there's all sorts of things to add to it. And it was an impressive demonstration. We were out at Tier 1, and they were able to fly that just almost out of sight, and it came back. And just to add to what he was saying, I was here in 1987 when we had the tornado, and the first thing FEMA wanted to know was, how much damage did you have? And they do what they call that windshield assessment. And you can't go down the street when there's a part of a house or a tree or a power line laying across it. And that's the very first thing they're going to want to know. And that, with the way the weather is these days, we will be using that, I think.
We will.
And as Todd was saying, we have infrastructure out across fields, and when we're out trying to find a shortage or something, it could be out in the bean field, and this thing could fly out there and find it for us a whole lot quicker. Chief, I think when we were with them, they said it could actually fly in light rains, and it could fly at night. So it doesn't have to be a day like this to use it.
What is the wind speed you can fly to?
35 miles per hour.
One thing I thought of when we first started talking about that for utility, I know we've had an instance where the crews that have to drive a line to find where it was down. This, you can just fly in 30 times.
You put a program, in the system, you can have programmed the breaker circuits where they are, those particular breakers. And if you just hit the button, it will literally follow the line or what you've programmed showing where these are. It's a KMZ file that you just create from Google Maps or whatever. And we've done that, that's how we did the one that, the demo we did. So it literally, it's just now, we're looking at it, it's gonna be multi-purpose for this.
Because you talk about very sophisticated, and I know it'll do this, you were talking about the storm damage. You can fly this over an area and make a video with that, and FEMA says how much damage you have. You can send that file to them.
That's correct.
Okay.
Or you sit there and do the count, how many houses missing roofs, you can do that, you know, in no time and have that into them.
And I think that's probably one of our major selling points on this device is that personnel accountability. You know, how many people is it going to take to do a FEMA study like that, you know, for the city versus a couple of operators, a couple of pilots on this drone and putting it up in the air. For y'all who don't know me, you know, I retired from the West Memphis Fire Department, and we bought a very small value back in 2017 for hazardous materials purposes. On a hazmat incident, you know, you had to send a team in to do reconnaissance and see what's leaking and whatnot, you know, and for us, it was just very valuable to put this device in the air, get an aerial picture of what that scene looks like. So that took away 4 people that we didn't have to send into that hot zone initially. And this is the same caliber of operation, you know, being able to view all of these assets that are damaged without having to bring in overtime and things of that nature to put boots on the ground to do it.
Okay. You were talking about getting some assistance from other people. What's like the total cost? I know we're talking about like a new car. What does a new pickup truck cost? Because you can add. Basically, what does this cost and how much other people are contributing?
Let me say, the total cost is $30,000,
Okay.
and the others are, we're getting up to 20.
Okay.
I have 2 questions, I guess. Number one is, what's the duty cycle? How long will it run before it needs to be recharged or
That one will run 40, actually 55 minutes.
about that?
It's according on the weather and.
Now that's per battery though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's per battery, and it has like 4 batteries, and it's called a hotspot. You can bring it down, stick another battery in there, you back up there in no time.
And how long do you expect this thing to be in service? How long, what's the lifespan?
We take care of it, it will work.
I mean, how much maintenance been around is required?
No maintenance, just battery swap out unless we have like maybe a bit of, when it gets crash proof, we got sensors on it, where it won't crash into anything. So when we operate, take care of it, see we might have to replace a blade or something like that. It costs like 10, 15 bucks.
Will the police department take care of the batteries?
Yes.
You all know.
Yeah.
I had 2 drones myself. I used my own personal drones for a SWAT call out, and it was, that's what we needed. You know.
There were some drones used at a football game.
That was us.
Right.
It was amazing.
That's us.
As far as crowd control.
Yes, sir.
I mean, these guys were on the outside hour. I mean, it's awesome.
You don't have to run across the field
No,
or across the
no, no.
stadium. It's-
No.
Sergeant, could you tell about the
Oh,
Yeah, it's another deal they call tethering. You can leave this drone up in the air for hours after hours after hours. It's a tethering system that one day we would probably approach it. It's kidding, like at the football game, they can sit up in the air and just sit there, like I said, for hours and hours. And whenever we want to bring it down, we bring it down.
I know
This
this
one,
one,
the land had a little pad.
yes, on this landing pad.
And I mean, just plain.
I would say another thing about the, what she's talking about, if you have a car accident, if the car hits a telephone pole or pole something, the water goes across the car, you put that drone up, probably about 500 feet, 800 feet, and you can give commands to the driver, because it has a speaker on, tell them to stay in the car. Now get out the car, wires down, things like that, so you can warn people from the drone, give voice commands from the control. As you see, things like that, if you have a structure fire or electrical fire or something like that, that creates a safe zone for the fire, police, electrical, anybody that's kind of going to assist those people in need.
I'm sold. I'm ready to make a motion.
I'm not.
Susan?
Wait a minute. Okay, what made you decide on this company? Because apparently you don't want to bid it, so you're wanting this company and this drone, so why?
Well, in my opinion, DJI is the industry leader in these devices, these unmanned aerial systems. We've done a lot of work with the Memphis Fire Department across the bridge, and they have a drone program, and the Retreat 300 is their Cadillac, if you will, and we were sold on it. You know, the maintenance portion of it, they don't even have a maintenance budget because it's so minimal, and we haven't seen anything that would air us to sort it out from any other direction. So did you want to elaborate on that any more?
Okay.
You okay, Sue?
Yeah, I have problems when people don't want to bid.
Well, it's not that we don't want to be it, I just don't think that, you know, that's a pretty elaborate process, you know, to write up the specs and go through all that process.
We would have to hire somebody to write these specs.
When these devices, they're below that threshold, you know, so I don't see a need to bid them whenever the monetary value is below what what the law is requiring us to do. And I assure you, none of us would be up here asking for this assistance if we didn't feel this was a warranted project.
And I want to say, I'm not gonna do anything illegal because I'm not getting fired.
I assure you I'm not.
Well, I look at it, what this does, helicopters are awful expensive to rent, to come over and do these aerial surveys and all that.
Well, can I tell you a story real quick that's interesting that you bring that up, because in 1998, I was a firefighter on a coastal Unaloop fire. And if y'all were around here during that time, you remember Memphis Fire Department brought over a lot of assets, and one of those was a helicopter. You know, the Memphis Fire Director got up in a helicopter and was able to observe that complex to see where we needed to put our apparatuses to fight that fire. Fast forward, 24 years, we had that same device that we could just rapidly deploy at the beginning of that incident. So maybe we could not have as large of a volume of fire as we had at that incident, you know, because of the time that went through it. So yeah, we've really come a long way.
I remember that fire away.
I do too, vividly.
Any
Make a
further
motion.
discussion?
You can make a motion now.
Are you sure?
You can make a motion, she can always vote it down.
Okay, well, I make a motion that we assist in the purchasing of the drone.
They will have a motion to assist in purchasing the drone. Have a second. Second, by Mr. Felton. First on the motion is Mr. Holmes. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We're going in the drone.
Thank you
All
all.
right,
Thank you, Mr. Gibson, appreciate it, sir.
Thank you. Dwayne over here was sending off some vibes to my keyboard and that crazy.
Yes, sir.
Thanks so much, sir, appreciate it.
Jumped out of the Yeah, I know, just get that phone.
Okay. Take the last one.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
That's weird.
I promise I didn't do it.
Here we're getting an expensive slideshow.
Back where we were.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is approval of salary adjustments.
In y'all's packet, y'all were given 3 sheets. It shows the salary adjustments I wanted to make, and it shows the hourly salary adjustments to the jobs that are on, that it's located next to. What I mean by that is, you have some jobs where the people are in the middle, okay, of that salary scale, okay? They're not right at the bottom and they're not right at the top, they're in the middle. What'll happen is their salaries will go up, if y'all approve this, starting January 2nd, that's the start of a new pay period. by that amount, plus then their normal yearly step increases. I base these on just the salary surveys that y'all received last time to try to keep those in line, plus based on looking at cost of living that has over the past 3 years. Remember, when we first started this process, we did a salary survey in 2018, and we went and set our salaries based at that time of where that salary survey came in. I committed that we would come back 3 years later, do our salary survey, and then adjust them appropriately as with the new salary survey, plus any cost of living that has occurred over that time. And I can tell you that in 2018, the CPI index was 1.9% increase. That was 2018. 2019, it was 2.3%. In 2021, it was 1.4%. So actually over that period of time, we've had a CPI index of 5.6%. That does not include what has happened so far this year. Okay. Now, and you can see pretty much everybody in there is getting the percent increase of above what the cost of living has gone up. I'll tell you, I know that the lowest increase is mine. So anybody complains, well, mine only went up this percent. Also, if you notice that since I'm only going up, I didn't go up by percentages, I went up dollar amounts. Actually, our lower level jobs are actually getting a higher percentage increase. And in my opinion, based on what I'm seeing in the job market and starting pay throughout this area, I think that's something we needed to do. Now, if y'all want to wait to vote on this until I present the budget, because all of y'all are like, okay, how do you pay for this? We can go through that and then approve it, or if you have adjustments, or however y'all want to proceed with that.
I was just gonna approve it.
Can I ask a question real quick on it, on the hourly? Is that, you've got more than one person there, and so this is their hourly from here to here? Because sometimes you have two numbers and sometimes you don't.
You gotta help me.
Okay, look on the hourly, page 2,
Yep.
the columns where it says hourly, and you've got 2 columns there. Does that mean you have more than one person there and they're making between?
What that means is, remember, hourly personnel have a starting pay and a top pay. So that's the min. If I hire somebody with no experience, or I hire somebody right out of high school, they're gonna come in and we'll use one.
Okay, and I understand that, but then you don't have the upper level and all.
Okay, the only way those people move up is by getting certifications. In other words, a groundsman, the only way they become a first-year apprentice is they have to get certified, or they stay right where they're at. Okay, and I can tell you there are some of these jobs that in the future I'm wanting to change and move to that format where, okay, we're gonna bring you in here, and the way you move up is by getting more skills, and here's the skills we want you to get in order to get there. The tree trimming job, right now, we don't have that. Brett has been working on putting stuff together for me. We want to make sure we have the right training things in place. The wastewater treatment mechanics and those guys down there, I'd like to put a training thing for them. And one of the things I'm struggling with and I'm looking at is the water guys. I got some, and I wish War was still in here, I got some guys down there that work their butts off and do an excellent job. And I don't know, and they have the skills to do the job they're doing, but they're not able to pass the state standardized test. And when I first started that, my hope was, hey, you can do this, y'all can do this and move up. I'm concerned people just don't, and I don't want to say the aptitude, I think they're all smart enough. Some people just don't test well. Okay, and they get in there and they freak out and they got to take a 120 question test, you know, and that's just, you know, them. But at the same time, they have the skills to do the job. And I'm going to start to look at, do I have the two-method process? Maybe, hey, you have the skills, but if you want to make, I'm going to move you up because you have the skills to do the job. But if you want to make even more money, I need you to get your license. So there's actually two groups. These people have skills and licenses, and these people have skills, you know. So that one I'm still going, I got to figure out and work on. But right now, this is where, you know, step one, I think, to get them where they're at least here. Okay.
Do I have a motion to approve, or do you want to wait to the budget?
I think it's very self-explanatory. You can't ask for it no better than how you got this presented. So I'll make a motion that we approve the salary.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Felton to approve, second by Mr. Holmes.
Can I add, just so that there's no confusion on that, that it's effective
January
2nd.
January 2nd.
January 2nd.
Okay.
Start of that pay cycle.
Any further discussions, additions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes to approve the salary increases.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, excuse me. I sat here and looked at it, got everything. The next item on the agenda is approval of the 2022 budget.
All right, we can go through this multiple ways. It's up to y'all. I can, in general, go over it pretty quickly. Let's do that. I'll just start out with page 1, the revenue. Those numbers, go ahead.
Well, you're going to get to it, but why have we reduced commercial electrical sales?
Based on actual sales I've seen over the past several years in a row.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I reduced it. I mean, we were not collecting that amount of money, so, you know, based on what I'm seeing historically on commercial, I've reduced it down. I mean, you can see residential sales have actually went up. And again, those numbers, because our rates haven't changed, okay, on electric, okay? So those are just, I'm moving around and partitioning in a better, in an area and trying to fine tune them based on history. Again, I'll tell y'all now, I did not use 2020 as a year. I basically took that year and said, okay, this was a wasted year of data, and tried to say, let me go back to 2018 and 2019, okay? Just because of 2020 and what happened in 2020, okay? You can see water and sewer sales, that increase on there, and that's because of the increases that were passed on last year. It's just another step, okay, in the increase. Wholesale electric sales, I had reduced that, if y'all remember, in 2019 and 2020, and I'm raising it back up. And why am I raising it back up? Well, natural gas prices have doubled since May. And if natural gas prices are high, the coal plants will then run and make money, okay? All right, so I'm actually making more money because the coal plants now are running, and the market is at a higher price. Now everybody goes, oh, you're making more money because you're selling more electricity. Well, at the same point, I have to buy it at a higher price. So those two things offset themselves a little bit, okay? And I can tell you that they don't offset themselves one-to-one, because right now, because nobody foresaw the increase in natural gas, everybody thought it was going to stay right there around $2, $2.25. There's issues with deliveries of coal. And what does it take to run those power plants? Coal. So we're having issues with deliveries on some of the rail. So that's some of our issues right now. So they're not running like they're fully capable of because of some of those issues. So our costs went up, and where we normally offset that cost is by the plants running at full capacity. They're not currently able to do that fully. The other items, again, that you see below, again, I'm fine-tuning those numbers a little bit better on just getting them where I've seen in the history on the revenue. Okay? Going over the budgets, what you'll see at the top, okay, is a reflection of the salary adjustments that y'all just passed. Okay, so y'all passed it, and this includes those salary adjustments in there. Okay, now the one thing we don't have yet is we do not have what our health cost premiums are going to be yet. The city is still in the process of bidding that out and are awaiting those bids. So the healthcare insurance premiums could be adjusted slightly based on where those costs come in at. The other items, pretty much everything, and you'll see it for each, is literally just adjustments based on fine-tuning it by each department. Okay? So you see admin. All right. Meter department up at the top, you look at it and you go, hold it. We just did salary adjustments and their salaries aren't going up at all. Why is that? We are reducing that department by one person. We currently we had budgeted 5 meter readers. We're going back to 4. Okay? We're reducing that budget, and that was with the thought that once we get AMI, we're going to have to reduce that stuff anyway, so we're taking advantage of that a little bit early and reducing this. And she's able to do it with 4 personnel. She's actually was down to 3 people in that time. She's had to get the assistance of some of the folks from the office to help do meter reading. She just had a new meter reader start today, so she'll be back up to her full once we go and if we reduce this staffing and approve this down to 8, she'll be fully, okay? And I jumped electric, I am sorry. It was on the back page. Not used to looking at the back page. Again, in back, you can see the dollar amounts. And the electric department is the largest department in the city as far as personnel wise. And you notice the salaries are probably not going up based on as much as what you see. Mike is also reducing his staff from, we'll say, 13 linemen to 12. Okay? That'll give him 2 5-man construction crews and then a 2-person service crew. He hasn't had 13 linemen probably since he started as electrical superintendent. He's always done the work that needed to be done with a reduced staff. Yes, we hired some, but we were never able to fully staffed in that department. So they've been able to do the work with new staff, we're actually now taking advantage of that through our budget process. Okay? Water department. Again, if you go back to the personnel sheet, you've seen that over the several months, they've been at a reduced staff. We're eliminating one position there also. That's why some of the increases are not as drastic as you saw. Okay, so that's the elimination of 3 positions in the utility so far. The plan, one of the things that, talk about that one. What are I'm not reducing the staffing levels there at this time, okay? I don't know if y'all heard, but Sean Ryan, who was our chief mechanic, is now over both the city shop and our facility. He's gonna be over there working, doing stuff at times, then he's gonna come over here and just finish out his day, okay? So we were able to reduce our cost in that department because we are now sharing his cost with the city. So it's helping the city and ourselves reduce cost. The only reason I have, and I've reduced that by that amount, the only reason I did not want to fully reduce that full-time positions yet is because I'm concerned that Sean could end up over at the city shop 90% of the time and only 10% of the time over here, and then I have issues over here. I do not want to put us in a circumstance where then I'm dealing with a person over there trying to get everything done that by themselves more than they need to. So we're going to see as time goes how the workload and how much he's over here and how much he's over there. Because again, our shop over here is actually handling the fire trucks or the fire department vehicles, our vehicles, and the parks department. Now, as Sean said, to help with that, even me and him have already talked. He says if it comes to a bind, I could pull one of the guys from over there and have him come over here and work for a little bit if need to. Again, because just the other day, Ron had something, his expertise, that the guy we got, I can tell you, Ron Borelli, y'all met him last time. He actually came from the UP Intermodal Yard as a mechanic. He's excellent. We're lucky to have him. He actually went down there and helped them do a few things because of some of his expertise on some of the bigger equipment down at the shop, and then came back. So again, that's where I think we as a city need to start looking at helping each other with the rising cost of labor. Okay? Everything else you can see David went through and just fine-tuned his numbers a little bit closer. The office. You can also see that as a budget as a whole, for salaries, it did not go up. You actually see a reduction in salaries and benefits like the meter department. And again, Ms. Terry has 2 open positions right now, and she is eliminating one of those positions to help with this. We might be sharing some duties in other departments that when they need help to also address these. Okay, and then she went through and also fine-tuned some of the other areas down below. You can see at the very bottom, I'm just going to point that one out, CC charges. What that is credit card charges that we pay for the people who are paying online or who come into the office and pay with a credit card. They've gone up, and I can tell you about the percentage is not going up. What that means is more people are paying online than ever before. And so far, they have not backed off. And I say so far, you know, maybe as time goes and the COVID thing relaxes, and maybe they coming back in, I don't know. We'll have to reassess, but right now, people are still paying online. If I ran the numbers between credit card, online, or online payments, mail, night deposit, EFTs and those things, about 55% of our payments, we don't see the people.
Are we offsetting that by less write-offs, or where are we recouping, because we're not passing that charge
Well,
along to the...
That's correct. And I think when we first started, and I was actually showing Dana the chart, I put the number in for the write-offs. And if you go back to when we first started doing online, y'all remember where we were. You were here, Susan. We were in the $600,000, $700,000. And again, they're doing an excellent job of maintaining and doing the cutoffs and addressing some of the issues where people are delinquent, or when people come in, oh, hold it, you got this old bill, you still owe us money, and getting those collections, okay? And I think we are now in the low 200s. I don't think we're going to get, unless we do something drastically different, and then when I mean drastically, we're going to have to either go to, I think we're going to have to go to increased deposits to reduce that number even more. Sometimes, and we don't have the capability to spread a deposit over several months' bills like some others do. We just don't have that capability within our system. So I think we need to give them another avenue where if we do increase deposits, what other things can we do to help a customer that might not be able to pay an inflated deposit? And I think that's where prepaid metering comes in. I can't do that until I get the new equipment, the AMI system. When I get AMI, the next step is we can go to prepaid. We can then say, we can offer you, here's your deposits, or if you don't want to pay, you can't pay this deposit, then we can offer you prepaid. You don't have to give us a social security number, you don't have to give us anything, because you're paying for everything up front. Just like gas pumps. You pull up, you fill your tank up, and you drive around until it's gone. If you want to keep driving around, you got to go back and get you some more. So that's the next step. Engineering, again, those increases are based on the salary adjustments you just paid, approved, sorry. Future power supply. Those adjustments are based on actual expenditures at the top. And then at the bottom, again, if you notice purchase of power from Entergy, well, what happens is that column right there, expense, is the one where if the coal plants are running and we actually are running at a loss, we have to pay them for the electricity they generated. If you notice, I reduced that number based on natural gas prices going up. So if natural gas prices are higher, they're not running at a loss, I'm making money. Okay? And then you see transmission costs, what they just continue to do. You know, when we went over the audit, that was one of the items. Yeah, our sales went way down and everybody's usage went down, but transmission costs went up. Well, they continue to go up. And that's something we're going, as a organization, we continue to try to figure out how to address. And then the operating costs from White Bluff and Independence, those are the numbers that they provide me, and it's just what it's going to cost to run the units. Undepartmental expenses, you see at the top the transfer to street department, okay? Reimbursement to maintenance manager, that is that reimbursement to Sean, okay? transfer utility depreciation, I moved that down to the level at which the items within the depreciation fund that we're looking at doing their actual cost. And then you can see retirement of bonds and then uncollectible accounts. I'll say this, on the uncollectible accounts, you see I've got it down to 200,000. I think, based on what the numbers I'm already looking at, it will be potentially below 200,000 in write-offs next year. And again, that's because of the work these ladies and everybody in the office, and it did help that some of the organizations at the federal government were helping pay for those who were not as well off. CRDC, who I've talked about, and I know John is very familiar with. Some of their rules, they were doing some very lofty through LIHEAP funds in 2020. Any questions? Y'all got a question, just let me know. Otherwise, again, wastewater, that's based on the salary adjustments y'all just and actual fees that we're seeing. Sewer treatment plants, the same thing. And then environmental quality is the same thing. If you go to the page, it says budget worksheet that just shows salaries and benefits. You now see full-time employees at 79, where the one I had presented to y'all last month was 83. Okay.
Now, the reduction in health insurance expenses, is that based on the fact that there's one less employee?
Correct. Our health insurance run us right now per employee $6,820 a year. That's what the city pays per employee. So roughly $7,000. Yes. So when you take that,
Still
and I
don't
just
know what
quoted,
the
I think it's
actual's gonna
8,000,
be.
I might have got the
I was
number.
going to say, it should be
8,620, I know. I said that backwards. Hold up, I was like, hold it, no, I got my numbers flipped.
Yeah, but he's got it on there.
I got my numbers flipped, sorry. I know, trying to remember too many numbers off the top of my head, I shouldn't have done that.
It don't get no better the older you get.
I agree, yeah, I'm getting there. And then expenses, if you go through the depreciation, you see, all right, I do not have anything in the capital budget right now for the expenditures of AMI or for the expenditures of the sewer improvements that we're going to do that will be paid out of the bond, okay? I would like to leave those until we actually bid them and see where the expenditures are going to occur, and then come back with adjustments to the budget when I get good numbers for y'all. Those numbers will not be transferred out of operating. The AMI I'm going to pay out of reserves, and the capital expenditures associated with the sewer or any water is going to be paid out of the bond issue. So it will not increase, those items that I do not have in there will not increase our operating budget. Let's see how that works. I keep looking at Susan on that kind of stuff, because I'm an engineer trying to speak finance language.
Red numbers, black numbers.
Yeah. Again, and the stuff through the capital is, you know, year to year, buying transformers, buying poles, buying those things. The only things that are probably out of the norm is I've actually gotten with Sean and Ron, and we're going to start putting together a truck replacement. Our pickup trucks and some of those items are starting to get to the end of life. We need to start putting together a capital expenditure plan for his bucket trucks, all these things. But the first one I started was, let's start looking at some of these pickups. We're going to be replacing Unit 11 that's in the electric department, and I think the other department is in metering. We're replacing one of their vehicles at this time. You know, this year we bought one for the water we're replacing. So Sean sat down and said, hey, here's what I see their life expectancy is based on, you know, their maintenance and the age of the truck. So those are the abnormal things. Also, in the utility plant appreciation, the area, the warehouse area where we have all the equipment, as y'all know, we did the roof on top of the warehouse. We've also replaced the garage door, that's where they go in and out. The area that, where all our parts and equipment, I shouldn't say equipment, the parts, supplies are stored and some checkout items is not heated or cooled. I want to put in, under plant, you'll see the heating for heating and cooling of that area. And because right now in the summer, I can tell you, it has a second floor. And when you're up there doing stuff, you don't want to be up there very long. Yeah, Al's helping me do some work down there. We're trying to get that area cleaned up and get more organization within that area. And that's really all I have. You can see it's a balanced budget. So, any questions on it? Specific?
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion to approve the
Yes.
budget of Ms. Marshall. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Brown.
Ms. Brown? Speak up.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion, additions, or deletions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes.
Good job.
All right.
Next item is approval of write-offs.
I should have had y'all come before me. Now the bad news. All right, it's not bad news, it is good news. Y'all had in your packets the write-offs for, it's from the year 2019. We always do 2 years back. Again, they're always, just because they're written off does not mean they're forgotten. We are always trying. And again, I just ask that y'all approve the write-offs as presented in the, as you see, as in the amount below, $239,117.75.
Jerry's got a question.
Question. Bottom line on the last page, another deposit,
I know. What is that? Well, I know.
I see you got this.
Y'all remember, I've asked this before and I forget what it is and I go, oh yeah, and then y'all remember what the deposits amount indicates, that 19,000?
Well, I see you got.
I know
Through Alex, you got no
in there
deposit
that
amount.
shows the
Yeah,
amount.
well, you got a deposit amount of $18,800 on
On
one.
one, yeah, and then there's 1,000 on another.
So I'm
Yeah.
assuming you've already taken the deposit off, or it's there to be taken off?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out, because it shows a balance due of $2680.45.
Do you think that's where it's in deposit, it's a bond, not cash?
It might be.
I tell you
Did we
what,
not get the count?
Let, before, I don't wanna, since we're not for sure, how about we ask and we come back with it next month and let you know for sure? I'd rather do that. No, I agree. I agree.
I thought that amount that's past due is the amount less the deposit, maybe.
But then that makes the deposit not an even amount.
Right.
Well,
If
it-
somebody make a deposit of such and such a dollars and 26 cents, whatever the case may be, if you balance those two numbers together, and you add and subtract it, it's still not a whole dollar.
Well, what I'm saying is if you're 18.8 on that one, the full deposit, or the full bill amount. Would
Yes,
be
those are
two
bonds.
numbers added together.
Those are bonds.
Those are bonds?
Yes, because, Curtis Lumber Company, they had one for 18,800. So, yeah, those are bonds.
So we're gonna collect on those?
That's up to our finance, authority. But Curtis has filed bankruptcy.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Well,
Yeah,
the other
they
one
filed
was
bankruptcy.
not so much the deposit, but the other pretty large total owed, affecting with bankruptcy as well.
Fred,
Yes,
The Fred's is like that.
Yeah, Fred's also in bankruptcy.
yeah.
Is there bonds still out there?
And that's
The
what
way a
they,
bond works?
You know, when you're in bankruptcy, you have to be careful about taking any action to collect whatsoever unless you've got approval from the bankruptcy court. So it's better to hold it unless we've got approval to take any action to collect. I mean, when the entity files bankruptcy, the automatic stay is in place.
Yeah, and I understand. Are we
I think
getting in line though to,
I know we are on some of them, like Payless we are, and some of those others we are.
I was talking about as far as filing a claim.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I file claims in the cases where we can, where we don't have to get a lawyer from out of state. And it depends on how large the amount is and things like that.
right.
Typically, we'll file a claim unless it's required to have a lawyer from out of state. And depending on the amount as well.
those big numbers still getting me, but
All right.
we used to have these
They
2 to
used to
3
be a lot bigger.
times a year, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, again,
First one of these items solved the rate.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And again, this is real cash. I mean, this
And you
is,
still
that we're,
have thicker.
yeah, I mean, again,
Yeah.
again, the office is doing an excellent job with maintaining this where it needs to be, addressing, continuing to address this issue. Yeah, and again, it's below 1% of our total revenue,
That's-
Which is-
That's good.
you know.
I
Okay,
make
do
a motion that we accept the write-off as
okay, I have a motion by Ms. Marshall to accept charge off. We have a second by Mr. Holmes. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda, how does the utility benefit the citizens of Westminster?
All right, the one we have for this week is our tree trimmers, who I just recently talked about, on some other things. They go around and not only tree trimming our right of way, but they also do little things throughout the city. If there's potentially, like, one of the items was, the city put up sky cops. Okay, there were some trees near the street that was actually blocking the views of the sky cop. So with the police department involved, also with the homeowners' permission and, overseeing, our tree trimmers went down there and trimmed the tree back up off the street, so that the sky cops can actually see down the street and get a better view. They also do some sporadic things where trees have grown in areas that are tearing up the street in such a manner that, some of these real monsters, if we get permission if the street department's like it's tearing up the street and, it's in between the sidewalk and the street, and it's actually tearing up the street, if they get permission from the homeowner, because again, that's still the homeowner's property, our guys go down there and actually cut that down for them because of their expertise and what they're able to do. So, and if you look back over here, behind, on the other side of the ditch, you'll see how clean you can actually see now. They actually took the equipment and cleared all that out for us. So, they do multiple things throughout the city. They go out to the parks department and trim trees and some areas. So, again, expertise that we have within the utilities that I think helps benefit the whole city. Any questions?
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I got one.
Okay.
Just for everybody's information,
Yeah.
just so that nobody goes, holy, what's going on? Marion Water System, their operator of record retired. They have hired a person to fill, but he has not had the opportunity, been able to pass his test, okay, to fully be certified through the state. So I've talked to the mayor, I've talked to Mr. Stevenson, I've talked to Dana, and they're all okay. I am going to be the operator of record for the City of Marion Water System. It's temporary. I am helping them out.
Are you sure?
Yes, because the state also said that it will have to be temporary, they're gonna have a deadline on it, okay? So, but again, I'm going to be assisting them, helping a fellow community out in need. We've done this with some other communities, not to this level where I'm the operator of record, because I'm now responsible. So, I just want to let everybody know, people start saying, well, Todd's working for the Marion Water Board. They have personnel over there that are capable of running the system. I'm just looking over their shoulder, just like we have people that are capable of running our systems, okay? The difference is our guy has gotten his license and is qualified to do it. They do not have that person. They have the person, and he is started studying and is working on getting that. I hope that it will be satisfied quickly, okay? But I think it'd be goodwill for all of us to, because again, all it does is hurt that community, and I mean, we all gotta work together in this community to get things going.
What's your due diligence?
Thank you for letting us know that.
Yes, I know how things get back to everybody that, oh, he's, and so, again, that's all I got.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved, Ms. Marshall. Second. All in favor? We stand adjourned.